Tashi to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for coming here, Namo Buddha seminar. And it's been, I think, more than 30 years since Rinpoche started Namo Buddha seminar. And before, our Lord of Refuge, Gyaltsen Khenchen Thrangu Rinpoche, used to give this teaching here in Namo Buddha and also back in Bodhanath. And then, since all of you already know that it's been almost 2 years since Rinpoche has passed away, and the year after Rinpoche passed away, last year, I was able to continue with this Namo Buddha seminar back in Bodhanath. But then, from here, I think almost maybe half of you were present during the Namo Buddha seminar last year. And the problem that we faced in Bodha was because since it was in the city, it was quite distracting, and we only had teachings in the morning, and we were not able to do a lot of Dharma practice back in Bodha. So we changed the place or the venue. So from this year, we hope to continue with this Namo Buddha seminar here in Namo Buddha. And looking at all of you, I see quite a lot of Rinpoche's very old students. Old, I mean like those who have been connected with Rinpoche for a very long time. And some of you who have just been in connection with Rinpoche over the last couple of years. And whether you have been an old student or whether you are a new student, I would like to thank all of you for coming here and being present here at the monastery. And I think most of you already know who I am, so there's not much for me to describe about myself. But for those of you who don't know me, so I've been in charge of the monastery for the last almost 7-8 years, and after Rinpoche passed away to Nirvana, so I am taking in charge of the monasteries here and also all overseas, so all the institutions that Rinpoche has built. So I am like in place of Rinpoche, so substitute for a while till we don't have Rinpoche's reincarnation. And then again, actually since being a monk in the monastery, many people suggest that when I give a teaching, maybe I should speak in Tibetan, since Tibetan is my first language, and then after Tibetan, Nepali is my second language. But I think that if I speak in Tibetan, then it takes quite a while to be translated, and then again translated into English, translated into Chinese. It's going to take a lot of time. It will be too much time consuming. So I will just try to speak in English. And even though English is my third language, and I'm sure there will be lots of mistakes when I'm speaking. So before the talk or before the teaching, I would like to say sorry to all of you if there's any mistakes like when I speak in English. And not only that, but also when me or any of the monks give teachings in Tibetan or in Nepali, I think that is quite expected of the monks to teach in. But when some of us give teachings in English or maybe Nepali, so I think sometimes it's very helpful to the students. And not only that, sometimes the students are able to know how we are able to communicate in English, because Rinpoche has built a school here in Nepal, and because of the school that Rinpoche had built in 1987, me and most of the other monks here in the monastery were very fortunate to be able to study in the school. And because of the school that we have, where we were able to study till high school and to be able to communicate in English and to be able to learn other subjects. So when we give teachings in English, I think that also promotes our school that Rinpoche had built. And then talking about the school, like 2 years back when we had the cremation of Rinpoche here in Namo Buddha, and that time we were blessed with a lot of great masters. And among them, one was His Holiness the Saketizen, the present Saketizen, and he had also built one school a few years back. But when we were here, when we talked about the monastery and all the activities that we have here, so he was very surprised by the school that Rinpoche had built. Because even though he is like one of the most respected or the highly respected Tibetan Buddhist master in Tibetan community, being named as His Holiness. So he built a school a few years back. But even though it was only like 7, 8 years back, I think he said he faced a lot of problems within the community, also from outside the community. He said it was a big problem for him. People expect the monks only to study Tibetan Buddhism, or maybe can I say just Buddhism. Most of the people, they don't like when the monks are studying anything beside Buddhism or doing anything beside Buddhist activities. But here we have our precious Gyaltsen Khenchen Thrangu Rinpoche, and of course he doesn't have the title of His Holiness, and not a very well-known master back then in 1980s, but still he established the school in 1987, which is like almost 40 years back now. So it was very surprising for him, and he was very much attracted by whatever Rinpoche had done. So even though he didn't have much connection with Rinpoche, but because of the school and because of the activities that we have here, he felt a lot of respect and devotion to Rinpoche. So even though he hadn't have any dharmic connection with Rinpoche, but still he felt a deep connection with Rinpoche. And then whatever I'm saying from here, it's all Buddhist scriptures or Buddhism. So these are all that I have learned as a monk here in the monastery. And the means that, should I say, the language that I'm talking in English was where I learned from the school. So whenever I'm able to give some talk or whenever I'm giving some teachings, I think I am trying to promote both the monastery and the school, because the Buddhism was learned from the monastery, and the English that I'm able to communicate a little was from the school that Rinpoche had built. So everything that I have learned in this life are all because of the grace of Gyaltsen Khenchen Thrangu Rinpoche, and all the qualities, if I have, are because of the blessing of our precious Gyaltsen Rinpoche. And of course, me being a very normal human being, there are lots of wrong qualities, should I say, that are not perfect. Lots of mistakes from what I do, from my speech, my body, my mind. Obviously, you will not be able to see, but my body and my speech, whenever there is a mistake, those are only responsible for my ignorance. But whatever good things that I have is all because of Rinpoche. And then talking about this particular Namo Buddha seminar, so we have Tukudamji Rinpoche giving teaching in the morning, and I will be teaching in the afternoon. And what we hope is that since you all have spent so much time, so much expense coming here in Nepal, receiving some teachings, and even if you live here in Nepal, still you are giving like a whole week of your life to be here in Namo Buddha, to be able to practice. So the community here in Thrangu Monastery, we hope that you will be able to receive a lot of teachings, and will be able to make use of the stay that you will be living here in the monastery. Since I think we are all very normal human beings, all of us, I cannot be very sure for all of you, but for someone like me, being a very normal human being. I think it's very normal for us to compare a lot. And since during this Namo Buddha seminar, in the morning, Tukudamji Rinpoche is giving the teachings. In the afternoon, I'm giving the teachings. We, being a very normal human being, there might be some comparisons. Most of you might think like, oh, maybe Tukudamjo Rinpoche, when he's giving teaching in the morning, he's way better than me. And maybe few of you might think that, oh, maybe I'm better than him. Something like this. I think this is very normal. But if you have like that, I think that is very normal, but still it is better not to have something like that. When we are here, we came here to practice. When we come here, we try to differentiate between teachers. When we try to say someone is good, someone is bad, not only the teachers, sometimes even among the students that are here, since we are all here practicing together, receiving the teaching together, we are all like Dharma brothers and sisters. Or maybe there will not even be some comparison, because someone like Tukudamji Rinpoche, he was recognized as a Tulku in the late 1990s, and before going to Sheda, he was a Tulku, and everybody expected him to give teachings in the future. So when he was very young, it was expected from him to give teachings. And obviously he's a Tulku. When we say Tulku, like he is a reincarnated being. And someone like me, I was a very normal monk back then, and only in 2015 I started to take a little responsibility in the monastery. So maybe from the way we teach or from the way we talk, I think it is very easy to differentiate, because someone who has been a Tulku since 1990s, and someone like me who has taken responsibility only for the last 10 years, there is going to be a big difference. So maybe there is not going to be any comparison. So if there is no comparison, if you think that Tukudamji Rinpoche is a much better teacher, then I think that's much better mentality to have than having comparison between two of the monks here in the monastery. Not only Tukudamji Rinpoche, but during your stay here in Namo Buddha, I'm sure you might have met Khempa Lobsang, who has been teacher for both Tukudamji Rinpoche and also for me. So I saw pictures of him having meals in the dining hall. So if you are able to spend some time, so he is one of the most senior Khempo from our monastery, along with Khempa Tashi and Khempa Chikme. But Khempa Tashi and Khempa Chikme are not here, and Khempa Lobsang is here. He speaks very good English, and if you are able to talk with him, if you have any questions, if you have anything to ask, it will be very good for you if you are able to spend some time with Khempa Lobsang during the meals. And not only him, we also have Khempa Chungi here in the monastery. They obviously both of them are not teaching during this Namo Buddha seminar, but whenever you are free, when you have some spare time, if you are able to spend some time with both of them, ask Dhamma questions or whatever questions, it is going to be of tremendous help for all of you. You are already here in Namo Buddha. Since Namo Buddha is not in the middle of the city, there will be some difficulties for you, maybe with the accommodation or maybe with the food, lots of other things also. But since you all came here to practice, to learn something on Buddhism, I hope you will all have more patience than usually. And not only that, since we came here, sometimes what happens is, like when you come here, maybe you don't know the other Dharma brothers and sisters, but then coming here, you know them, you are able to spend some time with them, and then maybe one day, 2 days later, you will be more friendly with them, and then after a while, like maybe after 5-6 days, or maybe a week, there might be some misunderstandings between Dharma brothers and sisters. Sometimes maybe you will not end up liking someone or maybe hating someone like that. If it happens like that, then I think that is not very fruitful of coming all the way here to practice. Because since we are all practicing Buddhism, and even in Buddhism we are practicing Mahayana practice or maybe Vajrayana practice, we all believe that we are all, in essence, the Buddha himself. And we have to treat all sentient beings as the Buddhas. And before coming here, you didn't hate anyone or you were not very negative about anyone. But then coming here, receiving a teaching of for a week, being friendly with people, talking with your Dharma brothers and sisters, and after the end of the week, when you go back to your home, and instead of the seminar being of useful or helpful to you, you only think about someone who was very unkind to you or who didn't speak nicely to you, you end up hating someone, then there is not much good result of the practice. So it is very advisable to be friendly with everyone, to have more patience than normal, and definitely not end up hating other Dharma brothers and sisters from the seminar in particular, and then in general, of course, all the sentient beings. And then I've been asked quite a lot of times by Rinpoche students, and even here, I think all of you have been Rinpoche students, so you all know how many institutions that Rinpoche had built. And quite a few of the students have asked me, isn't it very difficult to run all the institutions that Rinpoche had built, the monasteries, the schools, the clinics, and everything? And of course, it is a little difficult, but it's not that difficult because we have like lots of senior monks and nuns in the monasteries. And like for Tukutamji Rinpoche, there's Tubin Khenpo Rinpoche, there's Khenpo Chungi, and there are lots of other monks. And even from school, there's Lama Kama Sangpo. And not only them, we also have Rinpoche's old students like Gloria, Jean, Shirley, all of you here. And even though we might have some differences in how we work, how we do things, but the main aim of all of us is to carry on the lineage of Thrangu Rinpoche. So when we all have the same destination or the same aim, so even though sometimes our ideas might be different, but since all our motivation or our aim is the same, we always end up having a very good relation between all of us. And even though it's been like almost 2 years since Rinpoche has passed, everything is still going quite as before Rinpoche had passed away. So I think it is all because of Rinpoche's teachings, his loving kindness, compassion that he has shown to all his students. We all have the same aim, same dream. So because of that, we are still able to continue whatever he had built as in the same way as before. And not only us, and I hope all of you who has been in touch with Rinpoche, even though it is for a very short duration, when you all have the same aim and destination, I think there's not going to be any difficulties. But when we end up only thinking about my teacher, because now since Rinpoche has passed away, some of you might think, oh, I'm connected with this monk from the monastery, I'm more in touch with this monk from monastery, then there might be some problems. But when we all have the same aim, same destination of just keeping the legacy of Rinpoche alive, then I think it's going to be very smooth for all of us. And the older students are behaving in like that way, and I hope even the newer students, all the students that we are in connect with now and in the future, even if they have the same motivation, then I think we will be good for the long run. And then we will go through the text, and obviously the text is quite huge, and we will definitely not be able to complete all the text within a week. And if I go very quickly, then maybe it might be possible. But if we just say that, oh, I've gone through the text, and if we don't understand much, or if we are not able to learn anything new, then I don't think it's going to be very helpful for those of you who are listening to the talk. So we will go as much as we can, and then we hope we are able to meet again next year. If you are able to come, if you are not able to come, then still it's okay. It's better to learn few things than not learn anything at all and just say that, oh, I've gone through the text. So first we go with the name of the text, the torch for the definite meaning. So it starts with the torch. So what does this torch means? Like for example, when there is darkness, wherever there is, like maybe in the tunnel, or maybe when there is not light during the night time, or maybe like somewhere in the cave where it's very deep inside the cave. And it doesn't matter how long it's been in the dark. So maybe if it is a night, then it's only one night, and then the next day when there's sun, there's going to be light over there. But then there are some places where the place might not have seen any light for maybe 50 years, or maybe there might be some places where they have not seen the light for maybe hundreds of years, or maybe thousands of years. And it doesn't matter how long the darkness has been just darkness, whether it's been for a few seconds, few months, few years, thousands of years, but as soon as there is a light, it is going to be lit. The darkness will not say that, oh, I have been in darkness for thousands of years, now I will take a little more time to be bright. The darkness will not say that, oh, I've been dark only for 5 seconds, now when there is light, I'll be very quickly lit. It doesn't make a difference. Whenever there is light, whether the darkness has been for a very long time or short time, as soon as there is a light, the darkness will go away. The place is going to be lit. So just like that, this practice that we are doing, the torch of the definite meaning, it doesn't matter how long we have been ignorant, whether we have been ignorant for the last few days, or maybe for the last few years, or maybe for the last few lives, maybe 100 lives, 1,000 lives. It doesn't matter how long we have been ignorant. But as soon as we are able to practice this and keep it into practice, then there's definitely going to be wisdom in our mind, and then we are able to get the ultimate realization. So it doesn't matter whether we have not practiced at all before, or whether we have been practicing for a while before. And then comes the definite meaning, or definitive meaning. And when we are able to put this into practice, not like just pretend to practice, because sometimes what happens is we pretend that we are practicing. That is like a very big issue for most of us who are practicing. We think we are practicing, but actually we are not practicing at all. We just keep lying to ourselves, and we don't realize that we are not practicing. But we think that since we are living in a monastery, or maybe just because we are in the presence of monks, we think that we are practicing. And sometimes when we are in the temple, most of the time we think we are practicing. But actually just being inside the temple doesn't mean we are practicing. And just listening to the teachings, or maybe joining the pujas, prayers, doesn't mean that we are practicing. It is just an illusion that we create among ourselves. When we mean practicing is having the awareness that when we are practicing, thinking about having a good motivation when we are doing that. Sometimes even though when we are just doing a small act, like maybe giving some alms to the beggars, from outside it looks like, oh, he or she is doing a very good act. But sometimes it is just because we want to be seen doing some good activities. So the action in our tradition is not that important. The main important is the mind, which is the most important in Buddhism. So whether we are doing prayers, so even sometimes when we are doing prayers or meditation, maybe it is not very common among the students who are not monks and nuns, but especially when you are a monk or when you are a nun, you are expected to do some prayers, you are expected to do some meditation. And even though you don't want to do prayers, even though you don't want to do meditation, but you want to be seen doing practice, or maybe you want to be seen doing some meditation, so you pretend you are doing the prayers and meditation. So from the outside, he or she looks like, oh, they are doing a very good Buddhist practice, but in essence, they are actually not doing like that. So even for lay people, like sometimes people, when they go for pilgrimage, or maybe when they are offering something to the monasteries, or maybe giving donations to like the charities, from the outside, it looks like, oh, they are doing a very good humanitarian deed. But actually, the outside activities is not that important. The motivation is the most important. If you are doing something for the help for others, then definitely it is a very good deed. But if you are just doing to be seen or to be known, because these days, as we all know, there are lots of charities, and maybe some of them are for the benefit of the different poor people, maybe animals, or maybe lots of different things, but most of them might be because they want to be seen doing some charities. So if it is like that, then that is not very helpful according to Buddhism. It is the motivation that is most important. So even when we are practicing, even when we are doing Ngondro practice, or maybe Mahamudra practice, or maybe we are doing the prayers, we are receiving the teachings, whatever. So the motivation is the most important. If we come here for the practice, if we come here for the teachings, if we have the motivation that, oh, because of the teachings that I receive, I may be able to get enlightenment, or maybe I may be able to get away from the samsara, something like that, then that is a very good motivation. If you just want to be learned, if you just want to be known, then if you have like that kind of motivation, then that is not the correct way of practice. And then if you are able to practice with good instructions and having good motivation, having a good teacher, then definitely we are going to attain enlightenment. But if we miss any of this, then there is not much possibility of getting the result. But if we have all the above mentioned, like the teacher, instructions, motivations, then there is definitely going to be enlightenment for us. So that is why we have the definitive meaning here. And then comes the actual Ngondro. And then when we are talking about Ngondro, most of us, I think, especially these older students, when we ask, we all say that we have done Ngondro. And we will say that, oh, I've already done Ngondro. And some of you might say that, oh, I know what is Ngondro. It is very easy to describe this two Ngondros, special Ngondro, general Ngondro. In general Ngondro, this. In special Ngondro, this. From saying it is very easy to say, but to realize or to have realization from within, it's very difficult. Because most of us, we just give some days, like for the general Ngondros, we will do like maybe 4 weeks in total. Some of us, maybe we only do like 3 days each, so maybe like 12 days. And even for special Ngondros, we might do only for like 100,000 each. So maybe for some it will take 1 year, for some maybe 6 months, for some maybe 3-4 years, but still it is quite less actually. So back in the days, like most of the practitioners, when they practiced, so it took them a very long time to complete Ngondro. And even the shortest duration was like taking 1 year for each practice. But these days, what we are doing, most of us are doing, is aim for general Ngondro, the precious human birth. We do it for like a week, and then impermanence for a week, like that. And then after that, we do the special Ngondro at like 100,000 each. And then we say, oh, I've already completed the Ngondro. And then we never look back at the Ngondro practice. And then we do like actual practice, main practice, a lot of stuff, but we don't see many changes. It is not better to judge other people, but when we judge ourselves, then it's very easy to understand. When we are judging the practices that we do to others, then it is definitely not a good idea. But we can judge ourselves. We can see ourselves how much improvement I've made as a practitioner, as since I've been practicing for 5 years or maybe 10 years. If we have been practicing for 30 years, then we have to see how much changes the practices have brought to us. If there is a change for the better, then definitely the practices have been working. But if you don't see any changes, if you have the same ignorance, if you have the same anger, if you have the same jealousy, then even though we say that we have been practicing for 20, 30 years, if we still have the same kind of ignorance, attachment, jealousy, anger, then the practice has not been of so much of help. And we have just been pretending that we have been practicing. But if there is improvement, then definitely we might have practiced for a while. Like, for example, if for a sprinter or maybe a runner, like if I want to be a world-class sprinter or a runner, so first I have to be a national champion. And for that, maybe I have to practice 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. And if I am very good at it, then maybe when I am like 16, 17, 18, I might be a national champion here in Nepal. And if I'm very good at it, then after that, if I practice for a few more years, 2 years, 3 years, then maybe I might be able to be Asian champion. And then again, after that, maybe if I put in like 1 year or 2 years, maybe I'll be Olympic champion. Something like that. There is like a step-by-step over there. But when we are practicing, we don't say that, oh, for 1 week I'll practice for national championship, I'll be Nepal national champion, and then for 1 week I'll practice for Asian championship, and then for 2 weeks I'll be Olympic champion. It doesn't happen like that. And that is why we don't see so much of improvement in our practice. We already decide our duration right before we have practiced. So we only practice for a few weeks of this practice, and then we go to the next stage, and then we think we are in the Olympics, but actually we are not even a state level sprinter. But we keep on deceiving ourselves for a very long time, and we don't realize that we are still at the very beginning. We are just starting or able to walk actually, but we think that we have been running all our life and I'm already like an Olympic sprinter. But actually we don't realize that. And when someone tells you directly that, oh, you don't know anything at all, then we feel very hurt because of our ego. But when we think about ourselves, when you are on your own, when you are doing meditation, when you think about it, you see how much changes in you the practices have brought, how much trust or belief you have in the precious human life or impermanence. Then you will realize that, oh, you don't have a lot of belief in this precious human birth. And when we don't have belief in precious human birth, then all the other practices are like way higher practices. When we don't know the ABC of the Buddhism, then there is definitely not any ways for us to understand all the other chapters of the books. So first, it is very important to take as much time to understand on this Ngondro, and then when we are good at it, when we are perfect at it, and then when you are a national champion, then it is quite easy to be Asian champions, I guess. It is not going to take as long as being a national champion, I hope, but there might be some possibilities it might take long, but it is definitely not going to take a very long time. But when we don't put in a lot of effort in the beginning, then there is not even going to be the possibility of becoming a national champion. And then along the text, So maybe we are using different text. There are like quite a few different translations. So, but according to the Tibetan, so the instruction lineage of glorious Tusum Khenpa passed down from Marpa, Mila, and Kabopa. So that is like the direct translation for the first two lines. And when we are talking about lineage, it means the understanding or realization of the lineage. It is not like just being taught, and when someone receives the teaching, they go out and then they start giving teaching. That is actually not a lineage. So, like I said before, in our practice, the mind is the most important. The body and speech is not important. But when we are talking about other stuff, like if we want to be a sprinter, then the mind is not that important. If you are able to run very well, how to start from the beginning, how to run, how to move your feet, how to move your hand, then it's okay for you to guide the other students. But when we are talking about lineage, it's not like just reciting something by the teacher. Then again, the student, they will recite something to their students, and then if we say that as a lineage, then it's not a perfect lineage. When we are talking about lineage, it means realization. So we are talking about realization here, the instruction lineage of the Tusum Khenpa, which was passed down from the Marpa, Mila, and Kabopa, who are like the forefathers of Kamakagyu lineage. And then even these three masters, I believe that these three masters are the best examples for us when we are practicing. And I don't think it was because of just chance. Maybe it was meant to be to have as an example for all of us when we are practicing, because sometimes we have so much belief that when we are practicing we have to be a monk or a nun, but actually it is not like that. And when we are talking about these three masters were very different between themselves. Like for Marpa, he was a householder, he had a wife, he had a son, so he was like a householder, but still he was the main forefather of our Kagyu lineage. And then there was Milarepa, who didn't have a wife, but he was not a monk also, he was more like a Ngakpa, which we say these days. So even if we are a Ngakpa, we can still practice. And then there was Kambopa, who was a monk, who was ordained. And what they are trying to show is when we put our teachings into practice, there is definitely going to be realization for us. So whether we are a monk, whether we are a householder, or whether we are a Ngakpa, so it doesn't make a difference. So all of us can practice, and all of us are able to gain realization. And not only that, but also from the life story, we are able to learn that for someone like Marpa, I'm pretty sure most of you have read the biographies of these three masters, but in short, like when we read the biography of Marpa, he seems like a very angry person all the time, showing anger most of the time. Like even when Milarepa came to practice, he was shown anger a lot, but still later Marpa became a realized master. So even if we have like lots of anger, but if we practice, then there's definitely possibility of us to remove the anger. And then when we read the biography of Milarepa, then it seems like he was quite ignorant. It was very easy for him to believe in someone. Even when he was very young, he trusted his magician's friend. So he did lots of bad activities. And then later when he met Marpa, it was very easy for him to follow the instructions of Marpa. He was maybe not ignorant, but when we look or when we read the biographies, it seems like he was quite ignorant, and it was very easy for him to follow the steps shown by the teacher. He didn't question them, he just followed. And then when we read the biography of Kambopa, it seems that he had quite a lot of attachment to his wife and family, and then when they passed away, he became very disheartened, he became a monk, and they were all able to use their poisons. Marva was able to use his anger, Milarepa was able to use his ignorance, and Gambapa was able to use his attachment into practice. And then they were all able to become realized masters. So all of us at present, maybe we have all these three in a lot, or maybe not so much. Maybe anger is more, maybe attachment is more. But whatever poisons we have, if we are able to put into practice, then we will also be able to gain enlightenment or realization. So I think the three masters that we have are a very good example for all of us when we are practicing. Thank you everyone, and maybe we stop here for today, and we'll see you all tomorrow.